Welcome to the Polaris Adventures Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Christie. The calendar flipped to 2025 and winter is here. For many of us, like myself, in cold weather states, that means thinking about places to warm up. Trips to Mexico, Hawaii, and California all come to mind. But for a lot of folks, Florida is number one on their list. The Sunshine State sees more than 100 million visitors each year. It's basically one giant beach. From Jacksonville all the way down to the Keys, you can pretty much go anywhere. And that's where my next guest fits in. He wants you to see and experience all of it. Please welcome to the show, Brad Champion, owner of Florida Slingshot Group. Brad, how are you?
I am doing amazing. How about yourself?
I bet you are. I mean, you must be doing amazing because you're down in Florida and it's pretty much sunshine all the time.
Oh, yeah. We love it down here.
Brad, as a slingshot operator in Florida, this must be your busiest time of year.
It is. We are rocking and rolling. We came out of the holidays in 2025. We are kind of looking down the road, building up into summer, and things are going great.
Now, you've got locations up and down the entire state of Florida. Tell me where you're at.
Yeah, so we do. We have several locations. We have Central Florida Slingshots, which is in Orlando, Florida. We have Space Coast Slingshots in Cocoa Beach. Daytona Slingshots right in Daytona Beach. And then we have Ancient City up in St. Augustine in the Jacksonville market. That
covers a lot of the state, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And that's kind of what we were going for when we started with Polaris Adventures. One of the things that we wanted to focus on and Polaris Adventures was to kind of own the Florida market. And that's what we've set out to do starting back in 2020. And, I hope we're doing a good job of it.
Now, where was your first location?
That's going to be over in Cocoa Beach at Space Coast Slingshot.
For those people who aren't totally familiar with everything in Florida and where it's all out, where is Cocoa Beach?
Yeah, so in Brevard County, about an hour east of Orlando, Florida. Most famous, it's where they shoot off the rockets. So Cape Canaveral, NASA, the space shuttles, now SpaceX, they launch frequently from Cape Canaveral. So we're right there where the rockets launch. That's where we have our slingshot. What
is a day like at Cocoa Beach when that happens?
It can get crazy. Not to mention just normal, beach traffic. People wanting to go to the beach. Now you have people watching the rockets and, rocket spotting. And then we have our cruise ships. We're one of the busiest cruise ports in the world. And so we have people coming and going on cruise ships, sometimes 5 and 6 ships in port in a day. Now you got a rocket. Now you have beach traffic. I mean, it can get very crazy there.
How bad? So if I'm coming to Cocoa Beach and I'm interested in getting a slingshot, where am I going to go ride? What am I going to see? What am I going to do?
Absolutely. So we have several drives that kind of prearranged that we send you on, ones that we work with the cruise ships with. One of them, we call them our north route, send you up into Cape Canaveral, go into the preserve area where you can go near Kennedy Space Center and where they would launch the rockets. Just a really natural beauty up there. So it's a northern coastal drive. And we have our south drive. You go straight down A1A, the beach on your left-hand side. Past, we have a Space Force base there. And then go into Merritt Island. You have 2 rivers, the Indian and the Banana River. Quite literally, the road's in the middle, and you have a different river on each side of you winding up the road. Very beautiful wildlife, manatees, birds. We love that. That kind of segued into our next location.
Which was?
Well, so the next one was Orlando, Florida, in Central Florida Slingshot. And those 2 locations kind of work hand in hand, right? So, obviously you have Orlando, right? So Disney World and Universal, we're right in the heart of the tourist district there. And what that has allowed us to do is those 2 locations work hand in hand. So kind of the ebb and flow. When one location's busy, we can pull units and kind of really attack that growth, right? And that demand. And it's been a great thing to have those two locations working hand in hand. So you got families coming from all over the world, right, to go to these theme parks. Well, we all love the theme parks. We know what they're there for, but what's something else you can do? And we're happy to be here with Polaris Adventures and have this product to give to people like that.
Now, a little rumor going around, Brad, that you and your family are pretty big Disney fans.
Yes, we are. Spend a lot of time at Disney and the theme parks, and that's actually the draw. So I live in Orlando, originally from Jacksonville, Florida, and went to school down in Southwest Florida, but settled here, and we love it. I think we're there like every week, every other week.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I was actually in Daytona, not for Bike Week or any other reason, last year, and that was sort of my first experience in that area, and you could definitely feel the sense and the vibe. I was actually there for the big race, just coincidentally, but went for the 500 and had a really good time. But, man, you knew what was going on there other parts of the year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that city, when you have those big events like the race and Bike Week, the influx of people is just, it's insane. I mean, just to see everybody everywhere, hundreds of thousands of people. But what's really cool is a lot of those events center around motorsports, right? And so, like, you have the races there, you have Bike Week, and so we are positioned to be there to help those guests capture that motorsports feel. We have Polaris Slingshot right there in Daytona Beach, and we are located across the street from the Speedway. We can see the Speedway from our location.
And just from going there, I mean, just the beach accesses and the locations to ride are pretty evident.
Oh yeah, and that's also another thing that makes Daytona Beach unique, because it's like you have two different, I don't want to say vibes, but just atmospheres there. You have that beach where you can actually drive out on the beach in Daytona, which is becoming more rare now, but you can drive out on the beach in Daytona. It's one of the last cities that you can do that in here in Florida. I think there's a couple others, but then you want to kind of get away from that beach feel and kind of have that motorsports feel doing an event up near the Speedway. So they're two different experiences, but you can accomplish it all in one city. And so it's really unique.
Now, your final location in St. Augustine is really different from any of those other spots.
It is. And honestly, if I had to pick, that's my favorite. It really is. And we put it there kind of out of passion. I love St. Augustine. It's a stuck-in-time town, right? Absolutely beautiful if you've ever been there. We absolutely love it.
What is the single thing about St. Augustine that stands out to you versus some of the other locations?
You know, with me living in Orlando, right, and like I mentioned with Cocoa Beach and Cape Canaveral, with so many people in the cruise port, St. Augustine, I feel like I can take a breath and just slow down, right? Way less people, way less traffic. Kind of, you can almost do like a staycation there. You can live 20, 30 minutes away, but still escape to St. Augustine and take in the sights. Like, it's an old Spanish town. Go over the bridge to Anastasia Island, and it really allows you to take a breath and just kind of, relax. And like I said, being in a big town like Orlando and the hustle and bustle, it's a change of pace that I enjoy.
You almost have to go to St. Augustine because it's really hard to describe.
Yeah, I agree.
So you've got St. Augustine, obviously. You've got Cocoa Beach, Daytona Beach, Orlando, and you got a new location, I believe, coming.
Yeah. So Jacksonville, Florida. So First Coast Slingshot. Wanted to kind of expand a little more on the Florida Slingshot Group because St. Augustine is a very small town. A lot of people, tourism is very heavy there. But, we get a lot of guests wanting to come in from Jacksonville, or people who live there. There's an NFL team there. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to go up there. And after several years of, our guests going, hey, when you open up one in Jacksonville? When you open up one in Jacksonville? Well, here we are. We're doing it. We have our location up in North Jax, right near Jacksonville International Airport. Here we are. We're ready to rock and roll there.
Now, with all these locations that you can rent a Slingshot from, Brad, do you have a favorite spot or location that you would particularly say, I can't miss this spot if I'm out for a ride?
Absolutely. And I have to stick with Ancient City in St. Augustine. If I wasn't living in Orlando, right, because of Disney and like what you said, we love to be there. So if I had to pick somewhere else, it would be St. Augustine, hands down. And the history there is just, it's mind blowing. I mean, you go there, the old Spanish fort, the Castillo, Bridge of Lions. You go up and down these streets where you can see cannonballs stuck in the side of buildings. And to be able to hop in a Slingshot, drive around and see all that, it's a one-stop shop. So that would be my choice.
What makes Florida such a great place to ride?
Well, first off, I can't ignore the fact, the ability to be able to do it year round, right? We'll get maybe a little cold front, but then we'll snap right back and be, beautiful weather in like the 70s. Beautiful blue skies, sun, and whenever you want to go out, any time of year, you're most likely able to do it. That's the first thing. The second one is all the beaches, right? Up and down, wherever you go, you drive in one direction far enough, you're going to hit a beach. And it's beautiful, natural beauty, and I love it. It's home for me, and I couldn't imagine living somewhere else.
You are the last remaining local, original Florida resident, are you not?
Maybe that might be true.
What makes people want to try a Slingshot?
I think the first thing, a lot of, we've been doing this for several years, a lot of people's first experience with a Slingshot is they just see it going down the road, and they're like, what is that? I can't tell you how many times we've had people just, head turners, snapping their neck, just look at that and seeing what it is. And then they Google or find out or do their research, and they see that we exist, and you hop in there and you just start driving. The open air feel, like the wind in your hair, so to speak, right? It's the best of, and this is my opinion, the best of a motorcycle and a car all in one, right? I have Bluetooth and touchscreen, and but I have two wheels, so it's stable, and even a backup camera. I mean, they're loaded with all the amenities. They're comfortable, and they're pretty fun to drive.
Well, Brad, thanks so much for being on the podcast with us, and best of luck to you the rest of this year.
Well, thank you for having us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Well, be sure to like and follow the Polaris Adventures Podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, and we will talk to you again soon. Remember, every adventure counts.